Go ahead.
I would like to direct this to the distinguished members of the panel.
Can't hear nothing.
You lousy corksuckers. You have violated my fucking rights. This Samanambaching country was founded so that the liberties of common patriotic citizens like me could not be taken away by a bunch of fucking iceholes like yourselves. Thank you very much.
I guess he would know about ice holes.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Nothing Yet Live.
At 300 miles per hour. An accelerated speed, 15 miles per hour. And traveled a distance of 683 miles. Tell me, sir, what time would that train reach
Ukraine!
What time did I hit the train?
That's how violent I get when I hear word problems. I was told there would be no math.
I was told there would be no math. I am the J. Tyler.
I am your Miss Parker.
Now,
Welcome to the fourth segment.
yeah. Are we done yet?
No.
No, we're not.
And he doesn't mean the show. He means about war.
You fargan assholes. Are we done yet with war? Bill Burr, I love you. Stop stealing our bits. Fuck, man.
Yeah, or at least just give us
A little cheddar.
Yeah, give us a little cheddar.
You got a lot of money.
We'll invest it. We'll put it to a good cause.
He's not stealing our bits because this is war. Like, I want to kill every warmonger I fucking see. Is that like I want to kill them all? Like, if you think war is the way to go, I want to shoot you in the face with my war gun.
I would say create a giant warmonger filter, throw everybody in it, and shake it. And when the warmongers are left, you just drown them in acid.
Dude, we got fucking cyber Pearl Harbors, right? We got
Cyber Pearl Harbors.
the cyber Pearl Harbor could be happening, yo. You don't know. Like cyber Pearl Harbor, where they actually hack like our war machines.
So then we would do a cyber.
What if they took out
a
our
cyber nuclear attack
What if they took out?
in response?
What if they took out our aircraft carriers using cyber attacks? I mean, it's a possibility. This is fucking big. This is a thing that people have been talking about.
You know, we are the greatest country on earth.
Are we?
You would think that we wouldn't even have to be concerned about that. You'd think we would have that shit so locked down that we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
Well,
It
it's
would be
like-
unthinkable.
So that means like Bill Burr is like, you're gonna send your kids to war because of two rich assholes who have a fucking disagreement and shit. It's like,
Yeah.
no, let them fucking duke it out. I'd like
Yeah.
to see that.
Yeah. Stop believing the propaganda.
I'm gonna
Stop
go with
participating in it.
President of the World, Klitschko.
Klitschko, is that a company?
He's the mayor.
Oh.
Yeah, Klitschko. He's like a MMA guy, boxer, champion boxer, mayor of I think Kharkiv or Kiev.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. That's where I've
Anthony-
heard the name. Yeah.
Andrea.
Was he the one that said, fuck you?
Yeah,
I'm not,
he
we're
said
not
that.
budging.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of them. And there's a couple of them. There's a couple of those dudes. There's a couple of those guys.
Well, just like Bo said, all they have to do is put up a fight. They don't have to win.
Again, I have spoken on this Ukraine thing quite a bit, talking about how like I basically have like I've got a joint operations command right here. I do this on the daily. So could I handle like, I don't know, could I be like a squad commander for somebody in Ukraine? Could I run a bunch of tactical drones? And if that's true, like is tank warfare even necessary anymore? Like Russia's thing is tanks, man. They got fucking shit tons of tanks and shit tons of helicopters, right? So how we just not like, why don't you just give me command of like a handful of drones and I'll just sit here and then I'll fly them into.
So you could do it all from here.
I could do it all from here with little or no lag time.
That's assuming they don't hack our computer systems so that you can't see where you're bombing.
Is this Ukraine war like a form of Ender's Game? You ever seen Ender's Game?
You know, I read the book and I did see the movie. At the time I read it, like back to back with Ready Player One, and I kind of conflate them a little bit.
How dope would it be if our best gamers were unwittingly fighting a fucking secret war? And if they were, would you be okay with 12-year-olds like winning said battle?
Well, in Ender's Game, it was
they murdered.
They had
They
12-year-olds.
perpetrated genocide.
Yeah.
Like, would we be okay with that?
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you, our best like 12-year-old gamers are better than.
Was Ender's Game the one where he was playing the video game and there was the giant?
Well, they told him
And-
this. They told him this was a sequence of. It was a sequence of battles that were tests.
Right. And they were actually real.
Real
Well, I don't want to
battles.
spoil it, but there was a moth.
Yeah, spoiler alert from a movie that came out 8 years ago.
So there was a moth, right?
Well, whatever. Just,
Yeah, I'm
bugs.
just
It's
making
always
sure
bugs.
I'm not conflating
It's always
it with
bugs.
with,
Not an
um,
original idea.
Ready
Starship
Player
Troopers.
One.
Yeah, not an original idea. Said Starship Troopers.
Right.
So would we be okay with a 12-year-old gamer actually handling real weaponry and being proficient at it?
Well, if it's like Ender's Game, I mean, yeah, they handled it better than
Right.
our generals would probably
Could a fucking
handled it.
could a DIY tiny drone take out could a DIY tiny drone take out a tank? Could it?
You would know that better than I would.
Would it even have to fly? Could you not take hundreds of these drones and just park them in the path of the military and just you wouldn't even have to fly them. You just post them up. They'd be like little flying mines that you could set off and set everywhere. Again, like Bill Burr, like we're done. We could win this fucking war, no problem, except for the nuclear option.
So what did Bill Burr say exactly?
He said, when are we going to let these two assholes duke it out? Like, so these two fucking rich fucks, when are we going to let them, as opposed to us saying goodbye to our children to go
Right.
fight this war that is basically like, and it incenses me so much that I want to kill every warmonger I see. Anybody that's like fucking pro-war. It's like being pro-abortion. Nobody is pro-abortion. People are pro-choice. It's a fucking difference. Nobody is pro-war, but we'll fight one if the, if it's.
I wouldn't say nobody is pro-war. I mean,
Well, that's the fucking problem. This is what Bill Burr was saying. He's just like, what the fuck is the deal? No one is pro-war. We don't want this.
well,
And
none of the people fighting it necessarily. Well, I don't know. I've known people. I know somebody who went to Iraq and she completely believed what she was doing.
I know of several people that went to Iraq that said, or in Afghanistan, and said, I didn't go there to fix tanks. They went there to fucking kill people. They did not mince words. They were out for fucking revenge.
Mhm.
So it's just like perpetuating this like cycle of vengeance.
Mhm.
And this is what's happening. It's just like, no, Bill Burr is right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let them all kill each other. But the problem is they're so insulated. The people who are instigating these things, they're so insulated that, and they are in charge of all the propaganda.
Right.
So
Here we go
they
again.
control the information. They control all the information.
This is 2022. Are we talking about World War? Like we're actually having this conversation. Sounds like hoe logic. We'll get to that.
We'll get to that
Okay.
eventually.
Eventually. That one's really going to be good. We do get it. Yeah. By the way, sorry about the technical difficulties. They're constant.
The ones in the beginning. Oh, this thing?
Yeah, just all this stuff. Yeah, I mean, the slap heard around the world, and Ukraine's like, we can't hear you over the shelling of our fucking neighbor. Like, at what point are these people like, do we just get to be like, no? Bill Burr said, what if everybody in every military just said, fuck you, and just quit?
Yeah, wouldn't it be nice if we could be as coordinated as the Ukrainians? As the way the Ukrainians are united.
Wouldn't it be nice? Sorry, my brain switched off.
Yeah, it's a catchy tune.
So, talking about Chernobyl, talking about wind farms, like I was talking about wind turbine failures, and the fact that like insert people here like to say that wind turbines are somehow bad. Let me remind you of that. Springtime is always the busiest time of year for women working at the wool processing plants in Chernihiv, northern Ukraine. More than 21,000 tons of wool pass through this factory from small farms all across the country during the annual sheep shearing period, which, by the way, Suvant. Learn that. It's a word.
Suvant?
Yeah, it's a word that means the oil that's excreted by sheep when they're being sheared.
Oh,
Yep,
okay.
learn
Suvant.
that. Yep. Don't ask me. So, go ahead.
The April and May of 1986 were no exception. The workers pulled 12-hour shifts as they sorted the piles of raw fleece by hand before they were washed and baled.
Before they realized that there's like women's hair falling out.
But then the women started getting sick. Some suffered nosebleeds, others complained of dizziness and nausea. When the authorities were called to investigate, they found radiation levels in the factory of up to 180, I don't know,
Millisieverts per hour.
Millisieverts per hour. Anyone exposed at these levels would exceed the total annual dose considered to be safe in many parts of the world today in less than a minute.
Now, keep in mind,
That's the last bit that's so important. In less than a minute,
listen,
you get more than is safe in a year. Okay.
yeah, it'd be like just standing in an X-ray booth.
Right. And it's
just,
going,
and it's just on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuckers, it's like stick your head in a microwave. You'll get less radiation. But Chernihiv.
Okay, so why don't you read above that? 50 miles away.
50 miles away, Chernobyl nuclear power plant on the 26th of April in 86. Reactor number 4 blew up. But Chernihiv was regarded as to be well outside the exclusion zone that was hastily thrown up around the stricken plant. And readings elsewhere in the town have shown to be comparatively low levels of radiation.
I heard that this became public because the high radiation levels were seen in Scandinavia. And they started screaming about it.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe this talks about that.
By the way, Stoli vodka is Finnish. It's not Russian, so stop dumping it.
I would not dump any vodka I had. It's already paid for.
Just saying, Stoli is fucking Finnish vodka.
I didn't know
it's
that.
Not Russian vodka.
I bought
Stop throwing it in the fucking street. Stop being Nike burners.
Yeah. If you bought something from a disreputable company, don't toss it. Just keep it. You've already paid for it. Use it to spite them.
These motherfuckers are throwing Stoli bottles in the street and being like, fuck Russia. It's like...
I bought some vodka recently. It was American vodka. I made sure of that.
These guys are like, fuck Finlandia. It's like,
what? They're all up there yonder, and it's all snowing up there. I don't care where it is. I ain't drinking their vodka.
So there's like 300 chicks in this factory who were documented with exposures in the early days of the cleanup after the accident. Brown uncovered the story of Chernihiv wool workers as part of her research into the impact of the Chernobyl disaster. Her determination to unravel the true cost of the disaster has seen her travel to many parts of Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia to interview survivors, trawl through official archives, and search old hospital reports. So we're talking about like thousands of people that died. This is my bitch point about fucking windmills. It all came from that.
Yeah. This wasn't a weapons attack. This was a power plant that malfunctioned.
And dude, I've seen all the disasters that have happened with windmills, wind turbines, and only once could I calculate that it resulted in 2 men's deaths because they were up in the thing and it caught fire.
Yeah, and how
there
many
was
people?
nowhere for
How
them
many
to go.
people die in house fires?
Man, I mean,
every
I don't
year?
know. Maybe you should fucking add base jumping to your resume along with. I mean, shit. Like, why wouldn't you just have a chute? And they couldn't escape. They tried, but they couldn't get out of the.
Well, like I told you, I used to work in
I'd have jumped off that fucker, and I'm afraid of heights.
I used to work for a company that catered to large laundries, and one guy died in a dryer. I mean, it's a perfectly safe environment as long as you follow the rules.
This is why there's labels on ladders.
Yeah, don't step here.
But it's like, good God. So I wanted to talk about that. That was my jam for this whole fucking just pissing me off that, like, here we are 30 years away from the most amazing disaster, and yet we're still
40.
arguing about
40.
we're still arguing about the
I know.
the viability and the safety of fucking windmills.
I did a debate in 8th grade about nuclear power, and I was on the side of being against it.
I said, why don't they use thorium salts?
Okay, you know, but you can
No,
go off
I
on
said that like when I was a fucking teenager. I was like, why don't they just use the thorium salts? Oh, you can't make bombs out of them. Was the answer. That was the fucking
I just
answer that my
remember in the
chemistry
late
teacher gave me.
70s, in the early 80s, my parents were screaming about getting rid of nuclear power plants. This was in the late 70s, they were screaming about this.
Yes, exactly.
And here we are. My parents are both dead, by the way, not at the hands of nuclear power plants, but
You don't know that.
actually my mother, it's possible.
But it certainly wasn't windmills.
No, definitely not windmills.
All right, what are we going to get back
or
to?
solar.
Are we going to do Florida Man, or are we going to do harm reduction?
Let's do harm reduction and Desi.
All right, we'll be back with that.
No, let's do it right now.
Okay. Well, we're already.
Okay, we'll do it next.
Yeah, you guys don't have a lot of appetite. So the next episode we're going to talk about is harm reduction that has to do with
drugs.
So you guys will love it.
Harm reduction, and then we're going to give a little Ketanji Brown Jackson explanation via Desi Lydic from The Daily Show, and then we're going to give you a birthday Florida man.
Yes, we are. Here we go. We'll be back in a moment. I'm the J. Tyler.
I am your Miss Parker.
This
is Nothing Yet Live. I got to take a piss.